Back here on this Saturday morning, Sports Medicine Weekly, and time now for the staple of our show. It's our Ask the Doctor segment on Sports Medicine Weekly, giving our listeners the opportunity to have our doctors address their specific sports injury issues. Very easy to get involved with our show. You can go to our website, sportsmedicineweekly.com. On the homepage, look for the picture of Dr. Brian Cole and yours truly. Click on that link, and you can send us a question. Once again, I'm joined this week by Dr. Chuck Bush-Joseph, one of the team physicians for the Chicago Bulls, long-time team physician with the Chicago White Sox, and for Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. So, Dr. Chuck, I've got a couple of good questions to share with you from our listeners. Y'all ready?
Steve, I love the challenge, and I appreciate our listeners' involvement.
All right, here we go. Question number one. Do you have any tips, Doc, for staying on track with your nutrition during a busy workday? I often turn to quick junk food around the office when it gets busy.
You know, Steve, I hate to say it, I'm as guilty as many people on this, and my wife will tell you that. And actually, one of my acquaintances who's probably the best at this is Dr. Brian Cole.
Yeah.
You know, this is about structure and planning, and I think we all have that tendency to make mistakes when, all right, we ran out the door in the morning, we didn't properly prepare, we had a busy day, like in my case, I've got 6-8 surgeries going on in between, and you just sort of look. You walk into the break room, there's some cookies or some treat there, especially around the holidays. So, yeah, the best way is to approach this in a properly planned manner. And really, you need to think about this like you do other aspects of your day. At what time am I going to take breaks? What's the calorie intake I'm going to take? And when am I going to have appropriate proportions? And probably portion control is probably the second most important thing behind frequency of eating. So this is a structure and discipline, and the problem is it usually requires planning the night before or the week before, and that's why I've seen many patients and some of my colleagues have gone to some of these pre-planning meal services to sort of help them, that gives them structure to their guidance in their diet.
I've always thought of, I love pistachio nuts. And I like taking them out of the shell and everything. And, grab a couple of handfuls of those before a workout, or maybe as a snack if you want to try to eat every 3-4 hours, right? And that's a healthy fat.
Well, I think, yeah, you want to get good calories in. You want to get good protein. You want to get some measure of fat. You don't want empty carbs, and you certainly don't want processed carbs. So, yeah, is it energy bar or candy bar? It's always energy bar. Is it a piece of fruit or is it a cookie? It's always a piece of fruit.
Yep.
And so, really think, all right, I'm not sure I'm going to have a Tupperware salad, and sort of that thought of process of having that food ready and available at the time of your time of work really is the best method always.
All right, Dr. Chuck, next question here comes from one of our listeners. How do I know if I am actually pushing myself in the gym? Is a fitness tracker with a heart rate monitor necessary?
Is it necessary? No. Is it helpful? Absolutely yes. And certainly I would say this for the older patient, the younger patient, who's in their teens or in their 20s, I don't think it's necessary at all. And I think in that age group, they're challenging their fitness, and they may use a tracker just to see how high can I get or how hard can I get my heart rate going. Whereas I think for really the middle age or the older athlete, those in their 40s and moving on into their 50s and 60s, I think heart rate monitoring is very important and very critical. What is my target heart rate? What is my max heart rate? What is my aerobic level heart rate? How long can I keep that up? And I think that combination of heart rate and calorie burn is essential elements for fitness. And I can say it. Obviously, I'm a little older. I'm thinking this from a senior perspective. And if you've got a history of heart or cardiac disease in your family history or even personally, these factors are critical. Now, the second part of the question I think we're alluding to about I'm recovering from an injury. That's a little different. I would say recovery and rehabilitation is a little bit different than training or sports-specific training. And if I've had prior shoulder surgery, yeah, there's limits to how hard and how far I got to push. And that's where I really depend on my physical therapist, my athletic trainer, and my physician to give me guidance. Because certainly there's elements where improper exercise can adversely affect your recovery. We see a common one is those patients that have, quote, a frozen shoulder, which is not an uncommon injury or condition that women between the age of 40 and 60 get. More common in women with some sort, with a hormonal disease, whether it be hypothyroidism. And really in those patients, if you're prioritizing strength building as opposed to motion recovery, you're going to make yourself really sore and really impact your ultimate outcome. So again, let's differentiate between training and rehabilitation. And I always say more information is better than less.
Great stuff. Dr. Chuck, thanks for joining us this week.
Always a pleasure, Steve.
All right, Dr. Chuck Bush-Joseph. That'll do it for this edition of Sports Medicine Weekly. Many thanks to our producer. He is Shane Reardon. Our coordinating producer is Tracy Taro. Also want to thank David Cole for managing our website and our business operations, as well as Samantha Smith from Midwest Orthopedics at Rush. For Dr. Chuck Bush-Joseph, filling in this week for Dr. Brian Cole, I'm Steve Cashel saying so long. Thanks for listening to Sports Medicine Weekly. Up next here on The Score, Early Odds with Joe Ostrowski. Be back with you next week, a brand new edition of Sports Medicine Weekly, only on 670 The Score.